Good morning, everyone. I wanted to do a short video on using buy and sell stops to enter and show you why I love them so much. It gives you the ability to cancel your order, and I'll show you why I would cancel my order. If you want more information on the setups, you can go to www.easyeminitrade.com and find all the information there. And if you have any questions, you can always send me an email. So, the reason that I like buy and sell stops, as I said, is so I can cancel my order. And the only reason I would cancel my order is if my order doesn't trigger. So I'm just going to make this big so you can see it a little clearer. And let me just slide back here. So like yesterday, today, by the way, is Thursday, April 25th. Excuse me, Friday, April 26th, and yesterday, trading day, Thursday, April 25th is what you're looking at. So yesterday was really choppy, and a lot has to do with where we're at on our daily chart, on all the instruments, lots of congestion and new highs on the daily and so forth. But anyway, I won't go into that. But we do have a lot of sideways chop crap, as I like to call it. So yesterday morning we took the 5-minute opening range trade, and that would have triggered right here, and I'll go over that in just a second. But this was a 3 Amigo, and how I like to enter is this bar that I have marked. As we're getting our setup, we get the signal that we have a 3 Amigo, and you can use the 3 standard indicators, or you can use the indicators that Dan from Integrity Traders program for us, which is what I use. They're awesome. So this would be our setup bar, and as this bar is forming, because I'm using a range bar predictor, and I'll show you what that looks like here in just a second, but because I'm using a range bar predictor, I know what the estimated high and low of this bar is. So I already know I have a setup, and this is the bar that's forming. So when this bar has finished forming, I want to get in because this is a buy above this bar right here. So as this bar is forming, I put a buy stop in a tick above the high of this bar. And for me, I want it to trigger my order on the very next bar. So it did not, because here's the high of this bar right here, and you can see the very next bar did not trade up to that to trigger me. So a tick above that actually to trigger me. So for me, I cancel my order. I don't ever get in late, meaning now I'm going to leave my order sit there until it gets filled, which would be, here's the setup bar, so it would be 1, 2, 3, 4 bars later that I would actually get filled on that. I'm not interested in doing that because I don't want to get in the habit of chasing something. So for me, it triggers on the very next bar, or I pass, and then I can always look for a different setup or another way in if it takes off without me. So when it doesn't trigger, then I go ahead and I cancel my order. So you're going to see a lot of those when we have a choppy market. And so basically it's keeping us out of trouble. So the entry on this would have been, let's see, I can't see past my controls over there, 45.25. And the stop here, if it had triggered, let's just say, it would have held by a tick on the retracement, but very often it doesn't, meaning if you wanted to get in late. So I'm not interested in doing that, but you may want to test if a late entry works as long as the 3 Amigo indicators remain green for heading higher, or if you're using standard indicators that the 3 are heading higher. So you can check that out and do some testing on your own. So there wasn't a whole lot going on yesterday. Then at 10:06 we get another Amigo setting up right into the 50% retracement area, and this is for regular trading hours. And usually for the 3 Amigo on the NQ, we don't worry about any support or resistance areas. We just take it in spite of wherever it's setting up. So place our order a tick under this bar. The next bar, it doesn't trigger, so I go ahead and I cancel my order. And then it goes in the opposite direction. So in that instance, getting in late would not have worked. This was at 10:18. We had a counter channel set up, and we were pretty sideways. I wasn't comfortable taking it, but it did work out. That was at 10:18. And now another 3 Amigo here. And you can see all the sideways chop, okay? You can look at your ADXs under your DMIs. Good indication of sideways chop. So I'm not saying that nothing will work out, but you're just aware that you might not get much follow through when you see that. For me, I'm fine to sit on my hands until we actually get the setups. And I was perfectly willing to take any of these 3 amigos that set up. I had my order in place, but because it didn't trigger my order on the very next bar, I canceled my order. So this one here would have been a sell stop under this bar. Doesn't trade down to my entry, so I cancel. Counter channel setup, like I said, worked out. 10:39, we get another amigo firing off here, a no trigger, so it's a cancel for me. So I cancel my order. And then when it finally does, let me just scroll down. Then we finally get another amigo, and it does trigger, and it does work out. And the target area would be the 50% area below. So it does trigger and it does work out. I didn't trade the afternoon, but I did mark the amigos. And this would have been a buy. It would have triggered, and you would have had to sit through some retracement here. It did hold your stop, but it did go on to work out eventually. And you'll see this when it's quiet in the way of volume and where you have them firing off pretty close to each other. Here you have another one. This would be a no trigger. Here you get another amigo, and it fires off and it works out. So basically, I mean, you'd still be in here from 12:40. I don't know that you would sit in this trade for 35 minutes waiting for your first target or not. But regardless, it does work out. The 12:40 does work out. It just takes a long time. And that's the thing about any setup that you trade when you have light volume in the afternoon. It could take a while to work out. So I wanted to show you the 5-minute, and I haven't been trading in the afternoon because of not running the room in the afternoon anymore. We're just doing the mornings, and I'm really enjoying that a lot. Because afternoons are definitely harder to trade on most days. But that's why I like the buy stop and sell stop. So this is for the 5-minute opening range trade. And this is for yesterday. So we get our 5-minute high and low, and we enter in, and I always use a tick above or below for my buy stop or sell stop. And then once it triggers whichever direction it is, then you can use your projection tool to project out those targets. And a little off here because the first target was actually 47.75. But what I wanted to tell you is whenever I have a target that I'm shooting for, like let's say I take an entry on any setup and I've got, let's just pretend the close area from the day before above me, and I'm using that as a target area, I will generally use like 2 ticks away from that as my target. So let's say that I was shooting for, let's say let's just use this here at, it was actually going to be 47.75. And so what I did was I put a limit order a tick below that area, and it actually hit and got me my target right here, whereas if you were actually waiting for 47.75, you didn't get it until here. So I got my lines a little off here. But once the first target's hit, and if you're exiting in stages, then you can use those trail dots to trail. And using those trail dots, got my first target, which was 47.50, and then the trail dots stopped me out on my remaining contracts at 43.75, and the entry was 43.25. So not much made on what I was holding, but it was choppy. Whereas if you were waiting for that 47.75 exactly to be hit, then you would have gotten it here, and then you would have been able to trail and wind up with a little more. So, up to you how you want to work it, but I thought you might find that helpful. So if you have any questions, you can always send me an email, and I hope you all have a fabulous day.